Hey everyone, Adam Hooper here from the Sperm Donation World communities. And look, today I wanted to do a video because, you know, uh, not many of us think about becoming a sperm donor. And, and even as women and recipients, there's no link or no video to send to their friends or male colleagues or family members or brothers, etc., to inspire them to become a donor. Look, becoming a donor is a big step, yet it's extremely rewarding if you have the balls to do it. Look, nothing better than being able to do something altruistic in the community and helping deserving people start their own family. It's such a unique way to contribute to society. It's a little bit different from other alternative altruistic causes such as donating blood, your organs, other charity work. You're helping create a human life that will roam this world for hopefully at least 80 years. What will they become? What qualities may they inherit from you? Are we looking at the next prime minister or the next president of your country? A sporting hero, a doctor, a scientist, or you're just everyday Joe. It's fascinating to be able to contribute in a way that it's going to be interesting to see how these people grow up and their own little journey as humans, and you've had a contributing factor in making this all happen for their entire existence, which is pretty powerful stuff. So, when men first come across my communities, there's always a genuine sense of fear. I know because, I felt this myself. I was in everyone's shoes to begin with, I was in that position. I just didn't wake up and had always been a donor. I had to become one myself. This was all the way back in 2014. And all I had to reference from was John Lindsay Mayer, a retired bus driver who was in his 60s at the time. And I didn't fully understand the laws back then. I had to do many hours research, and my first train of thought was, well, no one's going to take a pensioner for child support, are they? But me earning six figures made me more likely so. But however, we're now in 2020, 6 years onwards. The community now was only, the community then was only 20 to 30 odd people. Now we're at a level of 7,500 people in the Australian group and 6,500 in the American group. There's been thousands of births now worldwide through my community, and no one in my community has ever done with child support, and there's never been any legal issues. So, we've had thousands of babies born now as a benchmark, as a history to look back on as an example of how things work and how things are. The laws are pretty good in Australia, so the history, paints a story to this, and it's reflective in how there hasn't been any cases. Look, if you're considering being a donor from other parts of the world, you might want to do some research into the laws of your local state. For instance, there's a donor in America, Ari Nigel. He's paying child support to several of his mothers, but then again, he donates to anyone that asks him to. And there's articles out there where he's donated to homeless people. So pretty much, if you're donating to someone that hasn't got a job and doesn't even have a house or a roof to live under, and you're in a country that doesn't have laws that protect you, what does he expect, seriously? Uh, you know, we have lots of men that enter the group, and you're welcome to be part of the group. It's just, as soon as you join the group, it's not flat out you start donating. You can sit there and observe it and watch how it's all conducted until you're at a time that you feel comfortable in participating or wanting to. I mean, some guys lay dormant for a year or two before they step up and say, okay, I'm ready. We have men that join and then they leave because, you know, they freak out. But, you know, the seed has been planted. You know, you've joined that because you were potentially interested in helping someone. And look, the majority of the time, you know, these men come back, they rejoin the group, and then ultimately they still become donors. So for me, it's, you know, you can turn notifications off for the group if you don't want to always see them every day, but being part of the group, and even if you're not ready to donate, it's something that you can just sit there and sit on, and you know, there's no expectation to go out and say you must donate once you join the group. It's, you know, use it as a reference, use it in your downtime when you've got a minute to go over and look at things, you know. So, you know, there's no pressure on being a donor and the amount of donations you do or the amount of people that you want to help. You know, you can be extremely fussy in who you find suitable in wanting to help. You know, for me personally, I know the feeling of my first donation. It was a 20-minute drive down the road, and for every single minute that was passing, or every second of that journey, I just felt like chickening out and doing a U-turn and heading straight back home. And if it wasn't for my strong morals in not wanting to let people down, I could have quite easily done so. And however, you know, if I had done that, just like, there would have never been this community. There would have been thousands of children that would never been born. And that just shows the power of the situation that being a donor can have. You know, ultimately, if I had decided to run away that day, you know, there'd be so many people in this group and community that's been through that would not have children right now. And, you know, it's incredible to think, you know, my actions have had such a positive influence for people to become donors, and also for recipients to feel safe and want to go down this path. You know, so, you know, anyway, I rocked up to this house. You know, I'm a rookie donor. I'm just about to make my debut in the donating world. And the recipients that I was helping also had never used a donor before either. So we never knew what the etiquette was, you know, the pre-plan, what the pre-plan, you know, we had to make up a pre-plan. It was all made up on the go. We decided that I was going to use the spare bedroom for an AI donation, and they would play music in the room, like an iPod player stereo, little setup thingy they had. Because I think I was a bit uncomfortable with them, you know, worried about them hearing me, or they may have been uncomfortable with hearing me. But, you know, it was a bad idea. Nothing worse than trying to go back, going about your business to the likes of Chad Kroger's voice from Nickelback. You know, I hadn't really thought about a playlist. Maybe some Lana Del Rey, yeah, sure. But yeah, still to this day, the worst donating experience I've had, and has scarred me from every time I hear Nickelback now is from my first time I ever donated, which, you know, ultimately, if that's the worst experience I've had in all these years, then, you know, really, it's not a big deal, is it? Anyway, if you can overcome your the cold feet and push through and get your first donation under your belt, it becomes more and more normalised. Those butterflies and anxieties diminish. Suddenly, you have a strut and you stare as you show up to your local hotel for your next donation like a rock star. Nah, no, look, well, not quite, but it feels absolutely, second nature now. You're confident. It's just normal. You just go in there, you do your business, and then you leave. You have a chat with your recipients, etc. See how they're going, and then ultimately you're on your way. It's interesting for me now when I meet new recipients and they tell me how nervous they're feeling, and then it feels like a lifetime ago now that you reflect back and go, yeah, I actually remember those butterflies and the nerves and anxieties of going out and meeting a donor the first time. And ultimately, after they've had that first experience, they go, oh, well, actually, it was very smooth and very comfortable. There wasn't a real big issue to be, worried and concerned about. It went pretty smoothly. So once for recipients and donors, once you've done it your first time, those feelings of, nerves, they disappear. So look, the types of men that donate, look, we've had such a great diversity of men from all walks of life. Ultimately, you got to have nobility about yourself. You got to be comfortable with your genetics. You got to be mentally headstrong, with the right intentions in mind. Look, we've got married men join the group, and many of their wives even join the group. And they help with the selection of who they help. Many wives are happy to even be friends with some of these families that they help as well, and some of these wives even donate eggs themselves. So, but then there's the married men that their wives preferred not to get too involved, but of course they're aware of them helping. It's you've had your own children, you've seen the joys that they brought into your own life, and for them it's a gift that they know how special it is to pass on to someone. And that was a similar position to myself. I was in a position that I had my two girls, and I saw their love for each other and how special it changed my life. And for me to pass on that gift to other people that were wanting to start their family was a very cool and a special experience to be able to contribute to. And so that's my story. But however, you get a lot of men now, the way that the society's set up, there's a lot of divorces now. People are unlucky in love, and a lot of single men and single women as well are very career orientated in job progression, or they work away on a long roster, or they're always travelling around the world, jetting back and forth. That their lifestyle doesn't permit them to have to settle down and have a family. So for them, it's unlikely that in the current situation that they're living in to have their own family. So they think that, well, the next best thing is perhaps passing on their DNA to someone that has got the time to raise a family. And they get milestone updates and kept in the loop, about the child's interests and what they like and stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing, really. When I was a kid, there was a couple of Batman movies out, and that was it. And now we live in this age of Marvel and DC, where there's a new movie or Netflix series out every month or so, it seems. And, all these kids now that I've helped, they've all got their own favourite little superhero character, one of the boys likes, he wants to be a Hulk. He likes the Hulk smash, and one of the girls likes Spider-Man, and and it's just amazing to see these little characters evolve, and little bits of information such as that is just it's magic to hear. And so look, we also get a lot of gay men. Obviously, the complications of being a gay man is it's a bit harder than being a lesbian, obviously, because you can't carry a baby yourself, so you can't just go and find a donor. You actually have to rely on a surrogate. Look, we've had a lot of gay men make some great friends in here. They've donated, and then the women, after they've had their children, obviously you can't expect a woman to carry a child for you first without them knowing if they enjoy what being pregnant's about. But in return, we've had a lot of men donate, and in good karma has come to them, and women have offered to surrogate for them. But also there's a lot of gay men as well that play prominent uncle figure type roles, catch up with the children and birthdays and stuff like that, or monthly visits or weekly visits. It's all down to how you want to negotiate, or what both parties are happy for. So there's a lot of versatility donating online, and there's a lot of people that are very versatile in how they want to go about it as well, and what they think is best for the children's upbringing. All this sort of stuff, you don't get that chance at a clinic. So basically in my communities, there's 3 ways of donating. Artificial insemination. This can be done at your home or a hotel or their home. There's no requirement of doctors or fertility specialists involved in this process. It's pretty simple. The donor, you'll donate into a sterile cup or a soft cup and hand over the donation to the recipient to do the rest. So if the lady's single and she wants done that way, she can self-inseminate, or she's in a relationship, their partner can inseminate. So it's pretty easy. You do your business and you leave. Legality-wise, this is in many countries and states a safe way of doing it. Then obviously there's natural insemination. People, which is it's obviously known as sexual intercourse, but the whole purpose is conception. So you are legally the father if it went to court, and that's probably worldwide. It's considered if you're doing intercourse, that you're doing it, and that's the repercussions of sex. But some people refer that method. Many women have doctors that actually suggest that that's the best method for them, especially if age and they may have fertility issues that could be a factor. However, it's a personal choice. You just got to be careful and of who you help in this manner. Look, we don't. People will say, "Oh, well, you join the group for sex and blah blah blah." But look, it's much easier if you're sexually way inclined and that's your motive. Stick to Tinder, because it's far more easy to pick up on there. Here it's a lot of negotiating of times, availability, being on call, abstaining. There's a lot to it. Doing your testing, STD testing and stuff like that. If you're on Tinder and you're single, you need to use protection. Obviously, you can't go out and catch something and then pass it on to someone. You can get 25 years jail for passing on HIV knowingly. But if you make yourself a donor, you've got to have responsibility. You can't be negligent. Otherwise, you could potentially find yourself in trouble with the law for being negligent. So you need to practice safe practicing guidelines when it comes to donating, and get your tests done if you feel that you're going to put anyone at risk. And then the other option is a clinical donation. Usually women now with fertility issues may require you to donate at a clinic. There's a lot of hoops to jump through at the clinic, and psychic evaluations, which they're not hard or strenuous. It's just time consuming. It's pretty much a participation award. You can almost be a psychopath and still be accepted in it, because the bar is very low, especially in Australia. But clinics will try and play the fear card and try and say that they offer more protection than at-home insemination, but we have not seen there to be any issues or any cases that have alerted us that there is any more danger of donating online than the clinic. We essentially run by the same laws. And so, look, if you're married, natural insemination will be off limits for you, unless your wife approves. Surprisingly, look, we're here to create families. We're not to destroy existing families. There's sites like Ashley Madison that are out there that encourage that sort of thing, but it's not what I represent in my community. We're all about integrity here. And there's people with kinks and fetishes. Apparently that's pretty normal in this day and age. There's sites like Adult Friend Finder and FetLife for all that sort of stuff. So basically in here, natural insemination is pretty much, it's very clinical, boring approach. The purpose is conception entirely. And if you're here for other reasons that make a mockery of the group and the community, and test those boundaries, is that you won't be a part of this group very long. So yes, you need to be very forthcoming. Asking for nude pictures and stuff like that is a bit inappropriate. It's something that you do on a dating site, if anything, if that's the way you roll. But yeah, in here we try and keep it pretty professional. Look, choosing who to help, look, there's more recipients than donors. That's why I'm doing this video today, because we need more donors. We need more men to come out and help women. But as the current situation is, we have the luxury of helping the best people that deserve it. You're going to come across people that feel entitled, that might consider you a piece of meat, and for you that might be an uncomfortable experience. There's two ways of looking at this. You could be down on that, or you could go, wait, right, thank you, I've decided that you're not a good candidate for me to potentially help, and it sort of eliminates them from being helped. So ultimately you want to help people that are nice to you and that you can see that are going to raise a child with good morals and values. So look, you're not here to help every single person in the group. There's different people, different horses for different courses, as John Lindsay Mager would say, and that's totally it. Like, you need to be comfortable with the people you help. The families that you create are the ones that are going to be on lasting memories, and as life goes on, they're going to have some link or connection to you in some small manner, shape or form. So basically, donors to donate at the clinic or online, that is the question. For me, I obviously, this was something that I looked into strongly. When I first started, I only thought the option was to donate at a clinic, and I think commonly for recipients and donors, I think the first train of thought is that the only option is to donate at a clinic, unless you come across an article about my group first that triggers you. But essentially, in America, it's all about anonymous, but the motive is about getting paid, so people, use it as a transaction rather than doing it for altruistic reasons. And so in Australia, they really struggle to find donors, because as men become more and more educated now, they're thinking, well, why should I donate at a clinic that I have no idea who I'm helping? We've seen now there's a group on Facebook called Mad Men, and there's a lot of men in there that have got psychological issues that regret their decision of donating at a clinic, because there's so many children out there, or adults out there now, that don't conceive people, that they have no idea who they are, and it plays on their mind constantly. Are these donor conceived people? Could they run into their children? Is there a risk of incest? When you donate online, it totally eliminates that risk or outcome. A lot of men are like, "Oh, what's this? It manifests in the brain. Oh, I hope they got brought up by a good family. I wonder what they're like. I wonder if they have any traits of mine." When you donate online and you have that ability to connect and receive updates, all those questions are answered. There's nothing that ever plays or weighs on your mind. You don't go to a shopping centre and see a kid in a pram and go, "Oh, that kid looks a bit like my features. I wonder if they used a donor." There's so many psychological things that we don't really think about until you've actually gone down that process. Then it starts to play on your mind, and it might take even 2 or 3 or 4 years after donating at a clinic for this to kick in. But there's case stories out there now. There's the men that have already done it previously to us, that paint this picture, that share these concerns, and we see how they've been affected by this. So, if you've done your research, there's not many men that would actively go out and donate at a clinic now anonymously, especially if you're doing it for the right reasons. There's been many, different stories like that, and it's sad. It's sad seeing these men, and a lot of these men say to me, "Oh, I wish this type of setup that sperm donation world type communities run, and Sperm Donation USA and Sperm Donation Australia particularly, run that are set up like this, that they wish that was around when they donated, because for them it would have been so much more their mind at ease than the living torment that they live each day now, that constantly reminds them. And it's sad. And there was a television show called Insight on SBS in 2018. It was episode 35. It was called DNA Surprises. It highlighted the real risk and concern of the potential of incest and donations done via a clinic. In the episode, there was 4 young adults that they all did DNA testing on an online website, and were genetic matches on that database. So they've all reached out and contacted each other. Two of these adults, a young male and a young woman, similar age, lived within 10 minutes of each other, and they both frequently visited the same watering hole every weekend for beers, and both were none the wiser of who each other was. And they had only recently met prior to the show, and and they were if you watch the show, they're fascinated by each other's similarities and features, which is, it's a known psychological symptom, or in the rules of attraction for a lot of people. It's human nature. When you look in the mirror each day, your facial features, subconsciously, people with similar features people tend to be more attracted to. This was a real risk of a potential incest situation happening, and that's the situation is because when you go to a clinic, most donors will pick a clinic that's close to their house or their work, and likewise for the recipients, they'll pick, if you live 5 k's away from a clinic and the next one's 50 k's away, which one are you going to travel to use? Obviously, so everyone's going to be in that tighter little circle and potentially go to the same schools, potentially go to the same pubs and clubs and stuff like that. So obviously, when you donate at a clinic, it's a game of chance, because no one knows who each other is. Obviously now we're finding out these stories due to the technology advancement in genetic testing. However, in this case here that they know of, there's still 6 remaining siblings that haven't came forward. So these 6 remaining siblings are unknown to them, and they could be still going to the same pubs as them as well. So I think it really shows and emphasises, that episode there demonstrates the importance of a donor knowing who they've helped and being the gatekeeper of knowing who they helped, rather than no one having any idea and the clinic's not handing over the information. So, there's a lot to digest here about weighing up whether or not to donate at a clinic or, online. For me, it's quite clear and evident that that's not for me, and all the years research I've done, it's never actually got me going back and thinking, oh, actually this is a more positive way through the clinic. As the years go on, I've become more and more less inclined of promoting a clinic for anyone to donate with anonymously. So in conclusion, becoming a donor in my community, it's amazing and a rewarding experience. And I know this, I've done it. And I also know from the countless men that I've had in my communities private message me and thank me, for setting up this platform. They thought, when they joined, they didn't think much of it. And, a couple of years later, they reflect on it and gone, wow, this has been an amazing influence on their lives, that they feel the gratitude to thank me for setting it up. And, it's really nice to hear that sort of stuff. Obviously, I've never had a man come to me and regret going, oh, Adam, I've come to your community and I'm really sad and sorry and regret my actions of becoming a donor. That has yet to happen, and I hope it never does happen. But obviously I've said in the other side of things, men have come and thanked me for it with real happiness that it's been able to provide for them. So, look, just not only, helping women and families start their own family, there's a sense of accomplishment and doing good deed that is very rewarding for guys to be donors. If you think you can help someone, or you'd like to join my communities, or you have any further questions you want to ask about becoming a donor, look, my door's always open. I would love to see so many more men become donors, and it's been magical watching the growth, the rapid growth in the last 5 years, and we just keep going up like this, and the normality of people using donors and men becoming donors, it's it's fast becoming not a taboo subject anymore. And you know, guys don't blink eyelid. You know, like I tell my friends that I'm a donor. No one really cares. In such, you know, there's no teasing or frowning upon or getting abused or anything like that. It's, you know, it's nothing to be ashamed of being a donor. It's something that's legal. It's something that people require. You know, you know, there's so many other things out there that people can do that could be judged more harshly than being a donor. So, you know, being a donor is something you should be proud of. And look, I really hope that I helped inspire some of you to take that step and seeing for yourselves the outcome of how special it is. It's, you know, words are hard to describe just how meaningful it is to be a donor, and it's not until you've done it that you can actually realise you know, it's a pretty special thing to do. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you to it now to ponder away and look into it a bit yourselves. And obviously, yeah, I said reach out to me if you need any answers to questions. I've done it. I'm a walking encyclopedia when it comes to this sort of stuff. And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon. Catches.